We're live in three. Hello, friends. This is Ruben. So I want to get into retaining clients, and I'm with Juliana, and Juliana's got some really insightful things. We just came up with this list of really interesting topics that I think are so relevant for right now, specifically if you have clients and if you're running some sort of an agency, provide some sort of a service. Really, if you just have clients, I mean, you don't have to necessarily be an agency. Juliana, what does a climate look like? What does client retention look like right now?
Client retention right now is really fascinating, right? Because we have, people pausing, people looking to change strategies, people looking to pivot, people freaking out, right? So anytime that there's any sort of emotional chaos, people are either really quick to make decisions or they get really paralyzed. So it's a really interesting time in how people are making decisions and what kind of decisions they're making, right? Depending on the industry, some clients are doing phenomenally, um, you know, and they're really able to support in this type of climate, and some clients are not, right? Like they've seen their entire industry just crumble in a matter of weeks. So yeah, it's just really all over the place, which is really fascinating.
And what industries have crumbled besides, pizza shops and local kind of businesses, like
Um,
restaurants specifically?
Well, interestingly enough, so restaurants I think were doing really, really bad, and then those that have pivoted to doing really high delivery, and also offering beverage, like alcoholic beverages and cocktails, have seen an uptick in the last couple of days.
So
So
alcoholism is on the rise and people are boozing up to
yes,
escape from problems. Understood.
escapism is huge. Alcoholism is on the rise. So like alcohol is rising and people are buying arbs. It's not a good picture, but it all depends on how people are doing that. I mean, on the flip side, people are also really working on the mental health and wellness. So a lot of wellness, things that are going online, that's doing really, really, really big. I joke recently. I was like, oh man, I wish I had like private shares in Peloton. They're killing it. So we really start to see, those who are able to quickly pivot to online strategies, and serving sort of this cabin fever atmosphere that's going on lockdown are doing really well.
And then speaking of cabin fever, I just had that conversation
Mhm.
with my family today. I asked my 6-year-old son, I said, "Are you feeling cabin fever?" And he said, "What is cabin fever?" And I said, "Cabin fever is when you're stuck in a place and blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Yes, I am." And I didn't know how to help him at that point. And I've been thinking about that. Do you have any recommendations for people or for families on what they can do to just get out? Now, obviously, going for a bike ride or going for a walk, that goes
Mhm.
without saying. We should all be doing that, just enjoying nature. But anything that we
Mhm.
haven't thought of that yet?
It's funny enough. I actually wrote about this like 2 days ago, and I put a list of resources. So for parents, Audible is doing free sort of storytelling, and a bunch of free books, which is great, because kids can use their imagination. There's something called playing cards. I do sort of these very geeky work sessions with my clients' teams that we do like pomodoros and like productivity, and we take breaks. So we did a Cards Against Humanity and we were all digital. So that's really kind of fun. Um, there's there's Movie Party, which is you can watch Netflix, so you can actually binge with people that are not in your home.
And what is
So
that one called?
I think it's called Movie Party. I'll take a
Oh,
look at
okay,
it,
okay.
and get the exact one.
Because
Chrome
because actually,
extensions.
because what's funny is one of my family friends runs a company called Netflix with Friends, and I don't know if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's actually one of my
Mhm.
really close family friends. And if we're talking about the same one, because Netflix parties, that sounds different to me. But Netflix with Friends is specifically one that one of my, I mean,
Mhm.
I was just talking to the guy just a
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me about his business, and he went from 500,000 users on I think of the Chrome extension, if I'm not mistaken, to now over 2 million. So
Huh.
I spoke
Yeah,
to
I
his
might be
dad
the same
yesterday
one.
actually. Yeah. Anyways, there's probably a couple out there, but for this particular one, Netflix with Friends, take a
Yeah.
look. And I just spoke
Yeah.
to his dad, who's kind of psyched about the whole thing. So, anyways,
Yeah, that's amazing. There's a bunch of e-learning platforms that you can get on for
Yeah.
free right now for kids, for adults. I think there's like 450 Ivy League courses, like if you want to brush up on and upskill on certain things, which is really phenomenal. So there's just a lot of opportunity right now to keep the sanity, to keep your health, and keep connected. I think right now, one of the things that people are really looking for, whether it's family or friends or even team members that, might be working remotely or, have gone from in office to doing that, is to keeping culture and connection. So I think that's really, important to kind of look for resources. And there's plenty of them out there right now, which is really neat.
I almost think about what it's going to look like when we come out of this, and we're all going to have different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
appreciation and knowledge, and a different stack, a different tool set. The way in which we conduct the things that we do, it's going to be really different. On the other side of this, whenever that might be, weeks, months. Hopefully weeks, but more like months.
Yeah.
So, but that's really interesting, and people. There's just going to be a whole generational thought that I think happens around this. But I think one of the major things that we're all feeling right now is fear and uncertainty, and that's why I think people are doing exactly what you said, which is hoarding cash because they don't want to spend necessarily. But there are some other companies, Dubb included, that is tripling down on efforts right now
Mm-hmm.
because we know we can provide value. I mean, we have a suite that's been used for remote work for years now, and we did some great marketing and some great communication, and we've been putting stuff out there. So, we're not. It's not like we're trying to just be pure capitalists and just profit from this terrible era that we're in. But at the same time, I love what you said, where it's about it's about providing good, and there's some humanitarian element to this as well. So, what is your take on how we could be conscious capitalists right now?
I mean, I think to be just capitalist in any sort of crisis or any time of uncertainty, there's opportunity, right? And not like, when we think of like opportunity or opportunist in a negative connotation, but there's this immense opportunity to leverage resources to help support, right, to really, I mean, my business is all around scale, and you can really scale the amount of effort and support that you're putting out there. It's also a great opportunity to show leadership, right? Because if you are in this wonderful position, right, as a company, as a business, as a founder owner, to actually be, the even keeled person, at least front, facing, whether you want to scream in a pillow at night, that's a whole other thing, but, at least front facing, to be reliable, to empower, to show empathy, and have your suite of services to reflect that, right? I think that's amazing. And one of the things, that's really important, especially right now with the amount of remote work, is to double down, right? Like if you run a lean operating machine, then, the leaders in the market are going to be able to purchase, to buy, to aggregate, whether it's resources, whether it's talent, I mean, it's unfortunate, but so many people are losing jobs, especially like if you're in the event space. And if you have an opportunity to give someone a job, like now is the time to do it, right? Like now is the time to make all of those very sort of ROI driven decisions, and expand so that you can support more people. So that's really my take, right? I think that in order to be a conscious capitalist, it's to really show the leadership right now in the market.
Nice. That's insightful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about retention.
Yes, absolutely. So I recently I've been doing a lot of writing apparently.
Well, you're
Together.
an author, right? You authored,
Yeah.
you had some books, so that's cool.
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of writing a book to be out. So I'm still like owning the author title.
Okay.
But but yeah, we've so right now I put together sort of this client crisis checklist. And one of the things that's really important, because I feel like, people are really trying to do sort of like three things. How do we keep cash? and or use cash effectively. I'm a big believer that cash is queen. How do we really keep clients? And that whole retention thing, I think, starts with something that you had mentioned earlier, which I think is great, is communication, right? Like, do we have a pulse on our clients? So whether you're doing things at big volume.
So cash is queen and communication is king? No.
We can do that.
whatever is slightly lower than cash, that's what king is. Right?
I think that's a beautiful marriage. Cash is queen and communication is king. I love it. So yes, I think so right now it's just keeping a pulse on clients, right? Because right now everyone is so reactive that the one thing that I'm really, really encouraging people to do is be proactive. So a great analogy, I've kind of shown it as like the situation room, right? It's kind of like, when we're in crisis, what do we do and how do we do it? So, a couple of quick steps that we can take on is making sure that we have a place where we're filtering that communication with our team and with our colleagues and with our leadership team, so that as things are getting thrown at us from every which way, we're able to sort of sift, parse, and really take action, and accurate and quick action, right? So kind of creating a situation room. I have a situation room in my Slack for my members. I have one for my own team, and really kind of putting their resources that are important and things that are just happening day to day, because things are changing and they're affecting the way that we're conducting business. So I think that's really important. Keeping the temperature on all of our clients. So if clients are pausing, right? Because some clients, they're afraid. They're like, oh my God, I might want to pause services. Some of them might want to cancel services. Some of them might want to switch over services. So really understanding what are the needs for the client and how can we find solutions for them. What I've been telling my clients right now is that a lot of the strategy that they charge for right now, sometimes like this is a great time to give strategy, because if we can give clients solutions, and we can be that reliable, real like champion for them, they'll keep us on. Right. And so this is a really great time to be providing those solutions that are necessary, whether it's smaller packages, whether it's shifting strategies, right? A lot of people are like, hey, we're hoarding cash. We may not want to do any paid acquisition. What are organic strategies that can be done? That's a flip side. Some clients do have cash, but they're afraid that they might not have cash in the future. So something that you can do is, get budgets and get things signed prepaid. I've had clients, be able to double down and get their clients to pay for the quarter upfront, right? Because they don't know whether or not like next quarter they're going to have cash, but they want to be able to be locked in. So any opportunities that we can find to service, to lock in clients, to really provide the support and pivot quickly, because the ability to have good systems in place so that you can provide the capacity to pivot quickly for clients is going to be huge.
Got it. So what are some ways that you're kind of creatively changing your strategy? I mean, you just mentioned that clients, and I think just generally advertisers right now, are thinking about organic instead of paid, and that makes sense to me. But I have to ask also, within the paid realm of advertising, are costs down? Is it cheaper to advertise right now? Are CPCs and CPMs cheaper? Like CPCs how much cheaper?
So I was speaking to a client of mine who's just running a campaign. He said that he has seen CPCs down the lowest that he's seen them in 5 years. So, and he's like across different industries, which is really fascinating. We're about to launch a campaign because I'm like, yay, buy low. And, right. And we're really, like, I perceived that there was going to be some kind of financial downfall from a year ago. So I've been actually prepping and doing a lot of things, in trainings and, creating trainings for teams and everything from client onboarding to project management to account management online for quite a while, probably for the last, it's probably like 11 months. And so, as we talk about the conscious capitalist, right now is a really great time because people are learning, because people are looking for resources, and because prices are low, to really put those campaigns out there. So we're actually launching something next week, which is pretty awesome. So we're launching a couple of campaigns to sell some trainings at a highly discounted price point, and we just launched an offer for the smaller agencies called Crush the Crisis. So it's really sort of an 8-week program to help people, like I said, keep cash, cut costs, and really sleep better at night.
That makes sense. I'm going to just put some text on the screen. CPCs are at a 5-year low. This is all of a sudden, this is like the stock market of advertising here. But
it is like the stock market. I mean, it's bidding strategies and arbitrage, right? So it's really fascinating what people are seeing right now.
Yeah. Well, how would you say that people can create win-win strategies right now?
I think right now, if you have content, right? Like if you have things that you can give for support for clients for free, I think, if we can take the idea of freemium models from SaaS, which have been around for way longer than this crisis, I think we can really adopt those to all types of businesses, whether they're marketing, whether they're service-based, and be able to give things that really, we can give out at volume. So right now what people are doing are a lot of small business resources, small business libraries, trainings, right? If we can give away a lot of really great content that's helpful and actionable, then that will let people have the support and have the leg up that they need to be able to survive this and thrive and create branding, and it's a great branding strategy so that when people are out of this, they're ready to buy from you because they trust you, they find you a leader in the market, and they find you credible, right? And having low-end offers for people that you can sell at volume is a massive win-win, right? So you're still being able to pay the bills, pay the team, pay the overhead, and you're able to provide support. And, for those niches and industries that do have cash and can invest, right? This is also a great time that if you have the capabilities to bid quickly enough for those companies that have the cash to double down, triple down, this is a great time to provide support to them as well. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity.
So do you think that, you mentioned the organic reach. Could you just give us like 3 ideas right now on what we can be doing to scale our businesses through organic efforts right now?
Yeah, definitely. So organic reach, I think a lot of people right now are living on social. They're at home, we go back to this escapism. So really planning to do things on social, like leveraging social, I think is really great. I mean, this is a key example of that. I think being able to provide resources. So whether you have, anything, a good way to provide resources, because sometimes people are like, I don't have time to do content, or I don't know what kind of content to put out there. Guaranteed you have things that you've been sending to clients over and over and over again, right? Or commonly asked questions that clients might ask you, or things that you're doing in your process for clients, right? Like all of these things that you already have documented, it's great to just kind of flip it and turn that into resources so that other people can benefit from them that may not necessarily be your client. I think those 2 things are great. And, not to like shamelessly plug, but doing video content that's really quick, if you're using Dubb, for example, just being able to answer questions. Like I'll give you an example. I had a team member who's a project manager, operations manager for my clients. They were asking me a question, and it was a really great question around like the overwhelm of the team and what to do and how to do client retention. And I turned that into a quick video, which was then turned into a checklist, which was then, turned into a longer piece of content. And really that all came from already interacting with the questions that people are asking. So I think if you can use and leverage what you already have, then it's a great way to just put it out there so that other people can benefit from it.
Nice. And then what was that topic? I'm just curious.
So the topic was around team overwhelm,
Okay.
right? So it was like, the team's overwhelmed, everyone's, going kind of nutso. How do we manage, everything? And, we were really talking about, one, creating that situation room, two, taking the pulse on clients, and really, fine tuning, people's sort of metrics and what they were responsible for, accountabilities, and also just taking a temperature on not only capacity for like how much work they can take on now, but also the emotional capacity, because that takes a real actual like human toll on your ability to do work. So just kind of keeping a pulse on your team and protecting the culture during this time is really key.
And then what are some tactics that you might recommend for people for teams? I mean, for team leaders, but just anyone in a team. How can we obviously we can have happy hours and stay connected digitally, and that's what we're doing maybe. But really at a deeper level, at a kind of almost like a spiritual level. What are some things that you might recommend that people can do to stay sane and to maintain productivity and actually to boost their creativity?
I mean, I'm a systems person, so I'm always going to go back to systems, right? And when we have good systems, the system is really able to absorb a lot of the stress instead of the people being able to absorb a lot of the stress. And and I think those two things work hand in hand, right? Because like I had a group who had just worked on their project management before all of this happened. Like they literally just kind of finished fine tuning all of their templates for workflows and everything, and they were half on location and half remote. So they weren't like completely off of the remote game, but they said that the ability to have like really good systems allowed the team to just feel so much more relieved that however the volume of work, right? Because they're they lost a couple clients, gained like 3 new clients last week, which is amazing. So they were able to just deal with the volatility so much easier because they didn't have to spend that extra mental power on thinking about like, how do they reinvent this? How do they communicate? How do they make this work? Because the workability of everything is already there. Right. So you just have more time and freedom to create, to build, and to connect, because you're not worried about like the minutia and the grunt work of everything. It's more or less handled by the system. You're just kind of following the system so that you can create.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're a systematic person, you follow systems. That's cool. I love that. We have a lot of systems too, and those have taken a long time to develop, and we're constantly tweaking and optimize those. Could you give us your sort of favorite system right now that you're using for your business?
So when I think of systems, right, I wish I could give you like a direct answer. But I would say, because I'm very big on process. I think for me, one of the best things is to have really good client onboarding, right? Because if we have really tight client onboarding, that means that we're able to really kind of keep our clients in a wonderful relationship. We have really good communication. We have bigger, retention. We're able to answer a lot of those questions up front. So I often think that client onboarding is kind of like the stepchild of systems, because people don't think about it that often. People don't, sometimes like they're like, oh my God, we closed it, we just want to go and deliver. But having, really amazing client onboarding, especially right now, if you are gaining clients, because it's so shifty, is so important. And then backing that up with really good project management. So right now, one of my favorite tools is ClickUp. I'm tool agnostic. I like Asana, I like Trello, I like ClickUp, I like Monday, depending on, what you're using, but making sure that people have really amazing project management tools and process to back it up. It's huge. It's huge for remote work right now.
Right. And so what is your stack? I got to ask.
Yeah, of course. So my personal stack is I use Copper for client relationship manager for CRM. I use ClickUp for project management. That's my own personal. QuickBooks for finances. Active Campaign for automations. like just like going through the big ones. One password for any sort of freelancers and password keeping that we have. I use Loom for mini training videos, and Dubb for sales follow-up. So I don't know why I use them differently, but I do. And let me see.
We have just to sell you a little bit, but we have a Chrome extension for screen recording and a desktop recorder. Check it out.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it. I think I've downloaded the Loom Chrome extension way before I started using Dubb, so I was grandfathered in. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
And then let me see. And then Zoom. I've been using Zoom forever, so that we hold all of our meetings on Zoom. So I would say that's probably like the most. I could go on and on and on in terms of our tech stack because I'm one of those like tech obsessed people, but that's our core.
Nice, very cool. It's so exciting that you mentioned that because I was thinking about these ecosystems and these stacks that everyone is creating and companies and individuals are creating based on preference. And it's so cool. And I love how you say that you're agnostic, which means you really are open-minded and you just appreciate all the software out there. And there's this philosophy that we're trying to abide by, which is like meeting people where they work, which is a big part of our integration strategy. So Dubb now has like dozens, it's almost like 50 probably integrations. And we just kind of go down the list. And every time we hear that someone's using something, like we know that people use Active Campaigns, we built the integration. We know that people use Asana, we built the integration. What I have not built an integration for though yet is Copper. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to dedicate an integration to you, and I'm going to get it on our product roadmap.
Yes!
and it'll be kind of cool. So stay tuned.
Be still my heart. Yeah. I think Copper is really cool. And I've used other CRMs before, and I agree with you. Like, one of the things that we help with is, leveraging technology, being able to systems and processes. I say that it helps to people-proof your business. So that's my nice little way of saying that. But we help to leverage technology. We want to make sure that we're process first. And I always take a look at the integrations of what like the ecosystem is, because if someone's, if they're married to, let's say, HubSpot, right? And they're doing like marketing automation and the CRM and this, like, there's no point of changing that. It's like, how do we create, around that? Now, if someone's using something and it's ineffective, then it might be time to jump ship. So really understanding, a lot of people think about pricing, but I think about volume, right? So like if you have two people that are doing sales, you may not necessarily need like Salesforce Enterprise, right? Like that could be like super funky and unnecessary. If you are running a 7-figure business, but you might only have 8 clients because they're really, really large, you don't need, crazy project management systems. So I think something to think about when you're adopting any sort of technology is like, how much volume do you have?
How much volume do you have? Yeah, that's exactly right. I totally agree with that. I think it really comes down to, are you using what you have for the capabilities that it offers? And if it's fulfilling your needs, there's no reason to go and to kind of lust after, other software, because gosh, if you go down that journey, there are people that I think get obsessed with this. They get obsessed with finding new software, and it becomes more about finding the software and trialing the software than it is about actually conducting business and being productive. And I think for a hot minute, I got really obsessed with that, and I was just checking, and I had like my Chrome extensions it was just like the width of the monitor, and then I realized there's just like really 5 core things that I need to do in the business. I need to be able to outreach, I need to be able to manage, I need to be able to have operations, I need to have like finance, and then I need to be able to collaborate and communicate. And those 5 things, that encompasses everything. I found my stack, and contentment was achieved. So now we do experiments and we try certain things, but unless it's something that is really going to fundament like a 10x type situation, we kind of we just hold back. So
yeah, I mean, given what I do, like I have to kind of keep up with it, right? Since we're helping people with systems and their processes and their delivery. But I'm a big proponent on like, sort of picking a software of where you're at and what your resources are. Because sometimes people get very like, oh my God, I want this crazy thing. And I'm like, spend that money on marketing.
Right.
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 Like don't do that. Like spend that money on marketing. And then when you're ready, then you can go to that. Right. Because it's not only about the technology. You have no idea how many times, people are like, yeah, I have my tech stack. Da, 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 da. And then I'm like, are you using it?
Right.
And they're like, well, kind of. Is the team using it consistently? Well, ish, is everything centralized? Oh no, everything's all over the place. Right. So
Right.
it's really about, about the workability to run the business, as you said, and less about the actual tools.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now more than ever, we need to really focus on productivity. We need to focus on relationship building, on optimizing, and just overall collaboration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So what's in the pipeline for you? What's kind of coming up, and what are you looking to do? I know that you got a book coming out. Any events we should know about online, of course. Give us a drop for your book. How can people connect with you on social?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in the process of writing, Codify Your Business, which I'm really excited about. So it's a very geeky, systems and process kind of book. But I'm hoping to have enough laughter and digestibility to make it really fun. Right now we have a new offer called Crush the Crisis, which is, really tailored towards, taking that corporate responsibility and being able to pivot and find opportunities right now, because like my clients are killing it, and I want other people to really not only survive the next, whether it's 1 to, we don't know, months, but really thrive and kick ass. So that's really what we're doing. And yeah, and right now, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and we're doing a lot of writing on LinkedIn. So Instagram is Juliana Marula. Check out the stories. I'm a story fanatic.
Nice.
and really writing, lots of really valuable, actionable things on LinkedIn. And you can find me at Juliana Morlando on LinkedIn. And I will drop the crisis checklist for you guys, so you have the link afterwards.
Oh, very
Which
cool.
I think is really valuable for everyone, because that way, it just kind of like goes through 15 ways to really keep clients and cut costs, and and really have the most ROI that you can during this time.
That's it. That's it right there. You summed it up perfectly. Well, Juliana, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And see you online and see you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, see you on the internet. Thank you, Ruben. This was a pleasure.
Bye bye now. Take care.
Bye.